Hey traders, in this lesson, I want to introduce you to a very interesting Python script operator that we have to work with in our scripts called Varip, a persistent variable. As you are aware, if you've watched the previous lessons in this course, VAR is a persistent variable that does not get reset on every new bar on our chart. So for example, if I create a VAR variable called bar counter and I set it to 0, and then on every single bar on my chart, I increase bar counter. I can use a plus equals 1 here. And we plot that onto our chart, save the script. Now my script is counting how many bars drew onto my chart. How many bars were plotted onto my chart up until the current bar. So I've had 20,238 bars draw onto my chart from the very first bar on my chart. Now the VARIP variable does exactly the same thing as this, but with one major difference. And that is that it's not just persistent on historical bars, but it is persistent within the current bar as well. So let me show you what I mean. If I create a VARIP variable called tick counter, and I set this to 0, and then I increase the tick counter by 1 every time my script is executed, and let's plot the tick counter beneath my bar counter. I'll give it a color of color.purple. Now watch what happens when I save my code. Watch these two values here. They'll start to diverge. What's happening here is our purple number is counting how many ticks have printed on the current bar, or in other words, how many times price has changed or volume has changed on the current bar. So this VARIP variable is useful for tracking intra-bar data. Now, personally, I've never used the VARIP operator in any of my scripts, but I just thought it was important to let you guys know about this feature in Python script in case there's a reason why you might need to do things that are related to how many ticks have currently unfolded on the current bar. So normally, your script will run every time price moves, but your variables within your script will not. So if I create a second variable here called tick counter not IP and set that to 0, and then I increase that by 1 on every bar, and let's plot that to the chart as well. And I'll give this a color of orange. Save my code. Now you can see that my tick counter variable is set to 1 on every single bar on my chart, including the current bar. And it doesn't update on the real-time bar, because even though my code is being executed, every time a new tick comes in, tick counter not IP is set back to 0, and then 1 is added to it. And so this value is always 1 on historical bars and on real-time bars. However, this VARIP variable, which stands for var intra-bar persist, so this is the intra-bar persistent variable, not just historical bar persistent variable, that behaves a little bit differently. On the real-time bar, it will count how many ticks. So I actually haven't thought of any practical, useful use cases for this operator yet. So I don't have any other lessons to show you about this operator just yet. Maybe in the future, I'll think of something. Or if you guys think of something, make sure to email me or reach out on Discord to let me know if you have an idea for this particular operator. For now, it's basically just useful for counting how many ticks have printed on the current bar, which can be a useful indication of volatility. The problem is it doesn't tell you how many ticks printed on historical bars. It only works on the current real-time bar. So as soon as I refresh my page or update my code, this purple number, this value will reset back to basically a normal bar counter. So the tick counter will only increment by 1 on every single historical bar, the same way our bar counter does. But as soon as it gets to the real-time bar, it will begin updating its value on an intra-bar basis. So as the bar is moving, it will update its value. Anyway, I just wanted to record a brief lesson on this operator to make you aware of its existence, and maybe we'll cover it in a future lesson in more detail. For now, that will do. Take care. I'll see you in the next lesson.